Hey everybody, I'm Jay Jones,
And I'm LT.
and we are the Dose Offensive Gentlemen. Now let's talk about some shit. Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to this episode of DOG. Now we kind of have a special for you today because we are not drinking scotch.
But we're still drinking whiskey.
Yes, that's true. That's true. This time we have bourbon. Bourbon, right? Some bourbon whiskey.
Some good old Southern bourbon.
Yeah, right. So we are drinking Knob Creek bourbon whiskey. What's it say on the bottle? It says Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, small batch, aged 9 years, 100 proof. Now, we are drinking it straight. Straight, no chaser. Yeah. And for 100 proof, it is smooth. I'll tell you right now.
Man.
It actually, for 100 proof, it is really smooth.
So I can understand why people get drunk on some bourbon all the time, because this actually tastes really, really good. And I could, if I didn't have to drive home after this, I could drink this bottle all night long.
You really could. I mean, it is. It's smooth. It's got multiple flavors in it. You know, we'll get into that once we get past another DOG tradition, which is the toast.
Yeah, because we tend to do the toast after we start drinking, not at the beginning.
Well, that's because we've been drinking like leading up into like way before we hit record. We're drinking.
We're doing the pre-show prep, and then it's like, oh, well, let me take a sip. Let me take another sip. Another sip, and then realize, oh, we got a podcast to do.
You know, we already had like half this bottle, right? That's pretty much how it ends up.
All right. So for today's toast is for those who've seen us at our best and seen us at our worst and couldn't tell the difference.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
Oh, that tastes so good.
Man, that is good.
It is. This is really sweet. It has like it's like a like you could taste the casket. I don't know how would you describe that?
Like a woody?
Woody? Okay. Yep. Woody would be a good way. It's it has a very big, bold flavor profile.
It really does. On knobcreek.com, we looked up this particular whiskey, and it describes the color as a copper to medium amber. The taste is rich, sweet, woody, full-bodied, almost fruity, which is exactly right. Yeah. That is exactly right. Like you said earlier, LT, it's a woody and a little bit of sweet, which I would attribute to the fruitier taste, but it's not like berries or anything. It's just that little hint of sweetness at the very end.
I almost would say almonds. Like that's what I think.
Well, that would go with the nutty, right?
Yeah.
Right? Does it say nutty? Rich, sweet? No, it does not say nutty. That is me. But the aroma. Sorry. Under the aroma piece of it, it says toasted nuts, grain, and oak. And the finish is long, rich, and glowing.
I guess, is it glowing like that warm you feel in your chest?
Yeah, when you're like drunk. Yep, that one.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna be glowing here pretty shortly.
I gotta put my liquor jacket on, where you get drunk and go stand outside without a shirt.
Yeah,
and it's like it's 30 degrees outside. It's okay. I got my liquor jacket on. That means I'm fucking drunk. Don't tell me shit. So interestingly enough, I actually saw found another website today that is it was really interesting. It's called Modern Thirst, which I just found them today when we were looking for more information on the Knob Creek, and they have all kinds of information on this. I'm just going to read out a little bit. So as far as the appearance, the bourbon is a very dark coppery brown color. The aroma, huge whiffs of aged soaked oak hit the nose right off the bat. Right off the bat. It's like being in an oak boathouse, but caramel and maple syrup are prominent as well. And that, I think that's where the sweetness comes from.
Yeah.
almost fruity, but because I definitely get like a maple touch to it, which I mean I like. It also has the taste of the front of the tongue. Gets a sweet maple syrup taste immediately upon sipping this bourbon. As the flavors move across the tongue, there are definite notes of roasted sunflower seeds and tannin from the oak barrels, which, yeah, everything you could really taste everything that's in it.
I would probably say not sunflowers. Like I said, I think I get a more almond tasting to me. Maybe that's me, but I feel like it's like roasted almonds, and then coupled with that oak barrel woodiness with it.
Yeah, and then it describes the finish as a long. Or I'm sorry, the finish is long with the tannins remaining prominent. There is an alcohol burn that is probably stronger than the 100 proof suggests it should be, but there is also a lingering caramel sweetness along with oak on the tail end, which it describes this bourbon perfectly. I really enjoy it. I especially like mixing this whiskey in a cocktail called the Old Fashioned. It is it's so good in that one. I usually use Knob Creek or Maker's Mark, but Knob Creek is definitely one of the two that I use.
Maybe next week we should do some makers because I'm actually I'm not really a bourbon drinker, but with the bourbon I had, like I think this is actually the first time I've tried Knob Creek. I usually drink if I'm going to drink bourbon. Yeah, I'll drink a Maker's Mark, but I used to drink. So I found this out. This was pretty interesting. I used to drink Jack Daniels quite a bit. I stopped, but I found out like the Knob Creek was made by Jim Beam, and the thing about Jim Beam is I've been to the Jim Beam distillery, which was one of the guys I went to school with. He was actually from where the distillery is at, and on a break he's like, "Hey, you want to come home with me? We could go by the distillery." And the distillery is in a dry county.
That's
It
why
is.
you can't even take any home.
No, you can't. You could buy it there. You could buy like that's the only place you can buy it. So it's in a dry county, but you could go and when they sell it, like the Jim Beam, they come into like freaking gallon bottles and stuff like that. So we took a couple back to school, and it was like, yeah, we were set for a while.
Yeah. So you said that you went to the distillery that is in Claremont, Kentucky. So Knob Creek is produced by Beam Suntory at the Jim Beam Distillery in Claremont, Kentucky. It is one of the 4 Jim Beam small batch bourbon brands targeted for the high-end liquor markets. Its siblings in the line are Booker's, Baker's, and Basil Hayden's, which I see a trend going. It's like B, B, B. And then you have, Knob Creek.
So why did they break it with Knob Creek? We went with Booker's, Baker's, Basil Hayden's, and then what's our high end?
Did you say boogers?
Booger? Did I say Boogers? No, Booker's.
It's bookers.
Booker's like Booker T, son. Booker's, Baker's, and Basil Hayden's, and then they're like, oh, what's our high end liquor? What are we gonna call that? How about Knob Creek? I was like, where the fuck that come from?
Well, I like it. I mean, regardless of the name, it doesn't fit the B profile, but I like it. It's it mixes really well with old fashions, which sooner or later we're gonna have to have. We are gonna have to have some cocktails on here, and I can't wait for that because I do love me some old fashions. We can just keep drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking.
All right, so let's move right along into our first topic. So this first topic sort of was kind of really funny to us because the discussion about emotional support animals and traveling has been coming up a lot lately, where one airline denied a passenger that said they could not bring their emotionally support peacock along with them, and they cited that the peacock could be a danger to other passengers. It is a big bird, and it's not. It can be kind of sporadic at times. So with that, we move into this week. We had a college student from Florida. and she is suing Spirit Airlines, and that's how you know she was a college student. Because if you're flying Spirit, you're probably broke. Because Spirit has cheap flights, but they will nickel and dime you for everything. And she is claiming that Spirit Airlines told her she couldn't bring her emotional support hamster on the flight. So because she couldn't bring her hamster, and she figured she had no other options to safely get the pet somewhere else or have someone get it, she decided to go to the airport and flush it down the toilet.
Well, let's clarify a little bit there. So according to the article on time.com, which I'll put down in the description, apparently she had the rodent, which is what a hamster is. It's a rodent. She brought the hamster with her after supposedly getting pre-approval that she could bring it, which was later denied at the gate. So she says that an employee of Spirit gave her the option of, you can let it go, you could put it down the toilet, you could do whatever else, but it's not coming on this plane, pretty much. And that's where she said, okay, well, I'll just flush it down the toilet. So she made the choice to do that. Upon reading the article further, Spirit actually made accommodations for her on a later flight so that she can make arrangements for her hamster, so that she could find care and whatnot. But they definitely said that it was her choice to do this to her pet. And I have like a whole different... I feel a certain way about the emotional support animals, especially when it's a strange animal that's very difficult to have an emotional bond with. Now, cats and dogs and the very typical domesticated animals and pets that we've had for thousands and thousands of years, I can definitely see that. You know, there's almost a symbiotic bond that kind of takes place, or a symbiotic. Symbiotic. Well, it's a relationship that kind of works. Yeah, definitely not cats.
Cats are
evil.
evil.
They're the rulers, right? No, definitely with dogs. But you have, like we said earlier, peacocks, hamsters, emotional support fish or whatever,
Someone had an emu.
Yeah, it's things like this where it's just like, how can you actually have an emotional attachment to these kind of animals when I've never seen, that kind of relationship or anything like that. And it strikes me as weird because just because you have that, like, doesn't mean that society and airline policies are going to conform to how you live your life.
Well, so the thing with the emotional support animals is that they're being classified now as service dogs, or like service animals, I should say. And
are they actually being classified, or are they just trying to
No,
sweep them under that umbrella? Because because service animals, and I'll specify this: service animals, especially the dogs, are specifically trained and licensed, essentially certified. Put a stamp on it.
Yes, and they're trying to. I'm not saying that they are. I'm saying that they're trying to bring them under that umbrella as service dogs, so they get the same treatment. So, like with service animals, there are special accommodations for service animals, but it has to be a service animal.
Exactly, they have to have that stamp.
You can't say, "Oh, it's my pet, and my pet is my service animal," so I can take him into this restaurant, take him into the store and his grounds and stuff like that. They actually have to be certified service animals. They're trying to push those in there, the emotionally support animals into this under this category, so they can get the same privileges. The problem with that is that unlike, like you pointed out, unlike with the service animals, dogs and stuff like that actually could perform tasks and they're actually trained and stuff like that. These people are picking these, a lot of them I've seen, they pick these exotic pets to have, and they're like, yeah, this is for our emotional support. I was like, I think that's just you trying to be a weirdo and be special,
I think that's Dolly taking his anteater on a walk. Right, you know what I'm saying? Like it's you want to be strange, you want to be outspoken, you want to be
you want to be different,
you want to be have attention. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's all about attention. Look at me, I'm special. I have a peacock, and he knows my needs. It's like, chick, really. I mean, He would like as soon as you die, he's gonna pick out your fucking eyes. That's
Well, same with cats; they're gonna eat your face.
exactly
All cats,
like the old cat ladies with like 30 cats and like they ate her when after she died and all that shit.
Listen, cat owners. All cats are trying to kill you.
Yeah, look in their journal.
Look at them; they're all trying to kill you. They might not see it now because they're very sneaky. All right, but they're all trying to kill you. So if you have a cat, watch your back.
So
the move on to the story. The Spirit Airlines is denying this, but I am more mad with her, like more than anything, because like even as first of all, I don't know if she got to the gate. I don't know if did she actually get to the gate or at some point. I'm not actually I don't know. It's been clear on exactly how this all went down because there's a lot of he said, she said stuff. But to me, it is making me think that, if she showed up to the desk, booked her, got her ticket, went through TSA, got to the gate, if she'd got to that far, I think she would have been okay. So I'm thinking it probably would have happened before that. And I could be wrong. There's probably...
Yeah, so the article says that it was a Spirit Airlines employee that told her that. So...
Yeah, but that could have been at the desk or it could have been at the gate. You know what I'm saying? So it could be either one. But the thing is, here's my thing, right? My first reaction hearing this story was like, was it really an emotional support animal? Was it really therapeutic for you? Because if this was your emotional support animal, if you had the choice between missing a flight and rebooking it, and you're right, it's Spirit Airlines, that'd probably been an extra $20, but missing your flight or killing your emotionally supported, and think about how she killed it. Yeah. She killed it by flushing it down the toilet. So she killed this thing by making it drown,
which is horrible.
A horrible death. Now you're gonna try to tell me that this thing was, meant so much to you that you're doing this lawsuit, that you thought the only options. Now, granted, she has emotionally support. She's obviously has some therapy, so the bitch might be crazy. But you thought the best way to deal with this thing was to flush it down the toilet? Like, seriously? I'm more mad at her. Even if Spirit did tell her to get rid of her hamster, I'm more mad at her from doing it. That's like if you go to your, me going to your dog, it's like, well, in all way you come through here, you're gonna have to, let your dog free. You're gonna have to shoot in the head, or but it's not coming this way. And you go out back and you shoot your dog in the head. I'm like, I don't think you really cared about that dog.
That's a psychopath. That is pretty much the definition of a psychopath.
Well, no,
meaning that
keep
like
doing it.
Well, no, but it's the false emotional bond that is advertised, right? This is my emotional support hamster. He needs to go with me wherever I go to keep me mellow, right? And it's like, but you're so willing to literally flush him down the toilet.
Yeah, when it
so
becomes
willingly.
a burden. I can see that. When it becomes a burden to you, you're like,
you're just like, oh, cut ties.
Let him.
Yeah. And it's
hamster
like
go down the hole.
Yeah, and it's like a little defenseless animal. It's a rodent. I mean, but it's a defenseless little animal, and you're gonna do that. But you claim that you have this very large emotional bond, and that you rely on.
And it's therapy, and then you bring up a lawsuit for it. And I'm like, really?
Yeah. It's like, let me sue you for something that I did.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. She's suing her for the choices that she made.
Yeah, especially when Spirit says that they gave her an option of a later booking so that she can make accommodations.
Yeah,
that part's like the kicker, right?
Well, that part's been debated too. It's like some people, again, her lawyers and others are saying no, they never did that, and then of course Spirit is saying that they did. So, like I said, right now this is a big he said she said sort of incident.
I'm sorry, I can't take the word of someone who flushed their hamster down the toilet. Like I'm gonna like critique every syllable in that.
Trust me. I'm on the side of Spirit right now because I'm sitting there going, okay, on one side you have Spirit Airline, on the other side you have a girl who flushed her hamster. So I think I'm gonna go with Spirit.
Yeah. And moving on, because I know how much you love the hashtag #MeToos. Oh, did I go there? I went there. So very recently there has been a sexual assault. Assemblywoman? Is that the right? Is that the right term?
She's a California Assemblywoman, and Her name is Christina Garcia, and she's taking a leave of absence um, due to sexual harassment accusations that have been made towards her. The reason why this is making headlines is because early on into the Me Too movement, she was really big at she really supported this and she was pushing this forward. Now, my my take on this is that generally, they often say that people who speak the loudest, or those activists that push the loudest, or for or against something, are usually the ones the most guilty of that transgression.
Well, it's overcompensation,
Yeah.
right?
It's like the whole thing with male feminists. You get those male feminists that are really big and they're always trying to virtue signal and they're always trying to show how woke or how hip and how they are. They turn out to be the rapists, the harassers, the stuff like that.
Well, just to hit on like male feminist, like I can't stand it. I can't stand it, like because nowadays, if you are a male feminist, that means you are essentially you hate yourself because feminists nowadays are essentially very much the pro woman and not pro equality. And it's essentially it just sounds more and more and more like you're just trying to fuck your best friend.
Well, you're trying to.
You're trying to escape the friend zone. You're not willing to have some balls and like stand up and say no, fuck that. Like I'm not like this. I'm my own individual. It feels like you're really trying to play almost like a tug of war kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's changing the dynamics of sexual interactions between men and women. It used to be because now where what was once considered flirtatious or is considered harassment. And you remember, as we've learned over and over again in our many meetings, is that sexual harassment is unwanted sexual attention, which is fine. I mean, if someone is trying to, sexually, they're coming onto you sexually, and you don't want to be bothered with them, you have all the rights and, due to you to tell them to stop.
But that's where it should stop. Say you say some guy or some woman keeps throwing passes at you, and you say, hey, I'm not feeling this. I don't want this to continue any further. I'm just gonna, I'm not interested, right?
Yeah.
If it stops there. And if nothing else happens after that, because we saw this with Aziz, if it stops there and nothing else happens, that's literally exactly how life goes. But if again the person who was throwing those passes constantly, and now they're getting more and more aggressive after you told them no, and you're still not interested, not interested, don't want it, please stop, no, stop.
Well, then
Like,
that's when
that's rape, that's sexual assault, that's sexual harassment.
Well, yeah, and that's when higher ups need to be evolved. But so when we talk, but like I mean, think about this. What was it? I can't remember who said it, but it's like if no meant no every time it was said, no doesn't always mean no, depending on who you're dealing with, right? Because sometimes a girl or guy will sit there and they'll play hard again, like, oh, do you want to come over? You want to do this? You want to do that? And they're like, oh no, and then they're like, but then they'll keep going, and then they'll keep going, and then we keep going, and then you keep going, and then to eventually, like, in a lot of times, guys and girls do this, more girls than guys, as a way to see exactly the test the interest levels of the person. Like if I say okay, no, is he gonna immediately shut me off? Because I had a girl, did this with me. She's like, oh, she said no, and I'm like, okay, we won't do anything. We'll sit there and watch. And then she looked at me funny because she was like, well, I expected you to keep trying. I'm like, you said no.
Exactly.
You said no.
Huge mixed signals, right?
Yeah, and I was like, so you told me no, so we sat on the couch and we watched TV.
We literally Netflixed and chilled. We didn't go past that.
But it's like, it goes both ways. And I'm not gonna say I've done it too. I have done it too. I've done it to girls. They're like, oh, we, get down. And I'd be like, it's sort of a power play. Like, nah, I don't feel like doing it.
But that's the thing, and and that kind of brings me back to the Aziz situation that we talked about before. Is even if she said no, even the girl in your situation, the girl in Aziz's situation, or really any situation, if the girl says no, but then keeps openly allowing everything to happen without any form of resistance, like, did no really mean no, right? Because men nowadays have essentially been, I don't want to say brainwashed, but we've been trained that no means no. Once you hear that shit, you're like,
You stop.
Because
everything.
nowadays you got the Me Too movement, you got all these other things where you can literally lose everything that you've ever had in your life.
Just over
And be
an
labeled,
accusation.
just over that accusation. Just hey,
And-
he's a rapist, or he's a sexual assaulter.
And again, again, that's probably where communications. I would appreciate this movement more if it actually opened up more communication between men and women. But to me, it seems like it's shutting it down because what the backlash you're starting to see is more men are starting to pull away from women. They're like, we don't want anything to do with them because you're just an accusation waiting to happen. There's more women, there are women who don't subscribe to some of the more hysteric aspects of this modern day feminism. They actually want to engage with men and partnership and stuff like that, and there's guys that want that too, but with that thing, you're seeing guys pull back. They don't want to deal with it. That's what leads to these, that's what leads to the sex doll, the sex doll brothel.
Oh yeah, because guys don't like it. It's easy. You don't have to worry about anything, right? But I actually read an article earlier this week about how the Me Too movement has essentially drawn a very firm line between men and women in business, and I mean that because they actually they stated that there was a congressman or a businessman, I forget exactly, who would not accept female only interviews.
Yeah.
Like if he was having a meeting or any kind of one-on-one, he had to have his secretary or another female in the room with him essentially to vouch for him.
Yeah.
Like he needed a chaperone because he could not trust the environment and the climate that today's society has arisen to or dropped to.
Well, and this also shows in a business. So a lot of more male managers are stopped. So like just like in the military, most business, you tend to get mentored, to progress. You have someone who tries to groom you to, we always say, hey, groom them to take your job, sort of mentality.
Right.
What we've starting to hear is that more males are pulling away and they're not mentoring women because they don't want to be, they want to eliminate any chance of, of any accusations and stuff like that. And that's part of the problem, because now if you want more women managers, that's not going to happen, because the people who are going to try to, help them along the way to get to those levels are not going to engage with them anymore, because they're going to be afraid that, you might hit a bad point and accuse them or something, and then they lose everything.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, say that there is a sexual pass, the fact that a male made a pass on a female, even if it didn't go past that, the fact that there was a pass, some kind of unwanted sexual attention, he could be demonized for that years down the line.
Yeah, well,
he could be accused. We've seen it before, and we talked about it before. 30 years ago, you had the Atari founder, right?
Yep.
And
he lost an award because, and well, he didn't lose an award because accusations made against him. Someone complained about the climate they had at that time, and what they didn't take into account was that the women that actually worked there didn't have a problem with it. They're like, oh, they had their meetings in hot tubs. I was like, yeah, it's the 70s, man. Everyone was grooving. You just had the sexual revolution, blah, blah, blah. But now today, people are looking back, judging that scene and saying, oh, that was wrong, so you don't deserve this. And I was actually more upset with him without telling him to go kiss my ass and, roll out. But let's get back to Miss Christina Garcia and what she's accused of here.
Yeah, so I'll read a little bit of the LA Times article. A Los Angeles area assemblywoman has voluntarily taken leave of receipt Friday after facing allegations of sexual harassment, an unusual twist of the gender dynamics shaping the misconduct controversies engulfing California's state capital. Assemblywoman Christina Garcia,
She's a Democrat.
Democrat of the Bell Gardens area, denied allegations that she made inappropriate advances on two men, a then legislative staffer and a lobbyist. In a statement, she said she would take an unpaid leave of absence from the legislature while she faces an investigation into her conduct. Quote, as I've said before, any claims about sexual harassment must be taken seriously, and I believe elected officials should be held to a higher standard of accountability. The 40-year-old lawmaker now finds herself in a stark reversal of roles from vanguard of California's political #MeToo movement, who shared her own tales of being groped while in elected office, to one of very few women to be publicly accused of sexual harassment. So now she's seen both sides of the spectrum. She was so prominent last fall that she appeared in a Time magazine photo collage portraying the quote-unquote silence breakers as a part of its Person of the Year issue.
So with this, so the accusations made against her, one of the accusers saying that at a softball game, she patted his behind, grabbed his ass, and then when he tried to walk past her, tried to grab his genital, grab his crotch. I forgot what the other one said, but I think it was along the lines of
Politico also reported on an unnamed lobbyist. So the lobbyist, she propositioned him and attempted to grab his crotch at a fundraising event in 2017. So she's a crotch grabber.
Yeah, so she did this last year. She probably did it. Now, and this is kind of a thing too, because I've seen, she's unmarried, she's single, she's 40 years old. Let's be honest, 40-year-old women get desperate. They get desperate for attention, companionship, and stuff like that. So she's probably getting more, she's probably tried a more aggressive approach, and we've given women a much more bigger pass on their activity, on their actions than we do men, right? So if a woman grabs a dude's crotch and a guy, complains about it, it's been instilled so long that, you look at the guy and go, what are you freaking complaining about? This girl's trying to grab your crotch. You should be happy about that. So that's allowed, women to get away with that action. If we reverse the roles, we would have, outrage. So I'm, my perception of this right now is that she's a 40-year-old unmarried woman. She's trying to hit on these guys she finds attractive. She probably hasn't developed the skills to really approach someone and start a relationship. So she went to this route thinking that the guy is going to be more susceptible of it. And now it's biting her in the ass the same way it happens to guys all the time.
Yeah, well, maybe she's just a shitty person and no one wants to be with her.
Well,
and then she doesn't have the.
That's always a possibility, but but it's not always true. And to be honest, there's so the problem is, especially with more career-minded women, they have to work hard. They're going to have to work hard to get to the status that they want to be at. Whereas with men, so men are already expected to work. This is why you don't hear too much. You hear more about sugar daddies than you do hear about sugar mamas. Men are expected to work. Men are expected to support themselves support families. The man is the breadwinner. That's what we've been instilled with. That's all we've done. When you're a woman, in order for you to get ahead, you're gonna have to do more sacrifices. You might have to sacrifice family or stuff like that. So if she is trying to work and to get to that status, where she's at, she's gonna have less time at home. She's probably gonna have less time for dating. She's like, where it's more acceptable for a man, he gets a woman, they're together, and he's like, hey baby, I gotta work. We're socially already engineered to think, yep, that's right, that's what you're supposed to do, because a man doesn't. The people who get looked down the most are men that don't work, right? It's more easy for a homeless woman to get aid and support to get back on her feet than a homeless man, because the woman is always looked at, as needing help to be protected, to be nurtured, whereas the man, they look at a homeless man and you go, you need to get your ass up, pull yourself up, and get out there and work. So it's in that same vein. Men, we're kind of seen as disposable at that point. We're out there, we work, Women, they have to be out when they go out there and they want to pursue that same thing. They got to make more sacrifices because if you have a kid, it's going to take you out the workforce for some time.
Which is a choice. Which is a choice.
It is a choice.
Like
it is a choice, but see but the difference is when men have kids, he's going to work regardless. So the woman can stay at home, take care of the kids. He's going to go out and work. The family unit's going to go together. The wife, unless both of them are working, there's going to be some time where she's going to have to be out of the workforce to deal with that, to raise and deal with the birth of the kid.
Yeah, well, just to recover.
Yeah,
whether it's a few weeks or
months,
or even some European countries have year or 2 years that maternity leave.
Yeah, well, I mean,
fantastic,
I went through that with my wife when we had our second child. She actually she was actually home for a couple of years so she can raise it. Like they would actually hold her. They actually held her job for a year. Which is good. They held her job for a year. She had the time to, they gave her a portion of her pay for that year until she was ready to come back to work. The problem with that, now that sounds great. Everyone's like, oh yeah, that's a great thing. And I say, yeah, but you also have to understand that's a year out of the workforce.
Yep.
So while you're at home, yes, you're getting your pay, you're getting your benefits, you're at home, you're dealing with your kids. You're out of the workforce for a year. So when you come back, you're a year behind of your peers.
Exactly.
So, and that's one of those things. And I was like, but that's just, there's really no solution to that. There's no solution. That's how things are. Unless you want to if you believe it's a better child rearing, technique to plop out a child, throw it to some daycare or some nanny and then go back to work, then you're going to end up being a shitty parents raising shitty kids.
Well, even then, I mean, there's still, with pregnancy and birth and everything, you still have to recover. You still have to take time to take care of yourself and take care of the infant inside you, the baby inside you. But until we start getting to test tube babies,
and would we really want test tube babies? Think about that.
You know how convenient that would be?
It's convenient.
It'd be like going to In-N-Out Burger and getting exactly what you want.
Yeah, but see, one of the things about having your natural birth is that and you hear it all the time. Women get attached to the child while they're still inside of them.
Yeah, but now we could be true psycho and sociopaths to where we're like, I don't like the way his hair is, and you just fucking cut him off. Boom, done. No emotional attachment. You just break the test tube and then you start over. Right, you just go back to the computer and start,
this kid
blonde hair, blue eyes.
You're out of here.
I don't like the way his fucking chin is. This is bullshit.
Look at this motherfucker. You're fucking done. Yeah. You're done.
Exactly.
No, but it's. I know. I don't know. If the problem with that is that we never want to get. We don't want to move too far where we're not, connected as a species and to our offspring. And that's one of the problems. So this woman has, she probably had, I don't know her. So these are all speculations. I'm not going to sit there and we hung out. I don't know her. I was like, to me, this seems like based off of other women I know in similar situations. And there's nothing bad about them. These are actually really good women. But I seen what they had to go through to get where they're at. And to them, they had to make some sacrifices. So now, here they are. They're in their, a lot of them are in their late 30s, early 40s, and they are looking for companionship. They're looking for, someone to be with, and they're not. They may not be as socially. I'd say
the dating scene.
Yeah, they might
getting into the dating scene.
Right. Because look at the dating scene right now, right? It's all based off of hookup culture. You got Tinder, Bumble, Grindr, and some other shit I don't know.
Was it Plenty of Fish?
Plenty of Fish or something like that. Things like that where, you generally look at someone, you swipe left, swipe right, and you basically get hookups. And talking to one of my friends, she started her own blog because she's talking about all the conversations she has and these hookups she has, based off these dates. And she's kind of disheartened, but I was asking her, well, is that because our dating scene has changed so much? It's like before you meet someone, you go talk to them, you ask for their number. If she gives you the right number, you call her up, you set up a date, you go pick her up, you try to peacock, show it, you put on your best show. You have a date, you get to know each other, and then the relationship, starts to go or doesn't from there.
Well, there's no courting anymore.
Yeah, there's no
There's no
courting.
courtship. All it is like, it's it is hey, you want to fuck?
Yeah.
You want to fuck? Hey, you look good. You got a boyfriend? Oh, you're on Tinder. Okay, you want to meet? Yeah, let's fuck. Right?
And that's goes. So I have a lot of younger friends too that are in their like late 20s and early 30s, and it's like I listen to them because I'm getting old and I really don't have to deal with that shit anymore. But I listen to them. They're like, yeah, man, like, oh yeah. I met this girl I smashed, and I'm like, really? How long? It's like, oh, I just met her. I met her on Tinder, and we hooked up and smashed. And I was like, oh wow, that's a lot different from when I grew up. And you had things like that, and it's so funny how you see like it's just constant hookup, constantly. There's no courtship, boom, 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 and you deal with these, and now they're not looking for marriage or long term relationships anymore, and that's because they're young. But I'm guessing when they get older, they're going to be wanting these things, and it's going to be harder to come by.
Well, I think that's just biological, though, because you always hear, "Oh, your biological clock's your clock is ticking, your clock is ticking," and I think that's just like a programmed biological response, unless they are so heavily invested and focused on career that they're willing to forego any kind of other relationships. Which you have those kind of women, you have those kind of men. I think that it's always going to be a thing. Now back to the Assemblywoman. I keep wanting to call her Congresswoman, but she's an Assemblywoman. I really want to see where this goes, because she was a big proponent of the hashtag Me Too movements, and now she's like, oh well, I'm getting accused, so let's see how this turns out. But I guarantee that she's not going to be receiving the same amount of criticism that a male would get.
No, definitely not.
And that's especially with this kind of current
and is
culture.
she gonna?
It's just
she's probably gonna get the benefit of hate to say it, I don't hate to say it. Is a due process. We're gonna do an investigation. We're gonna see where it leads. We're gonna see if these claims are founded or unfounded. Now, we've seen of late that a lot of times that, the accusations don't even get to that point, and they're automatically gone. The person resigns or whatever because there's such an outcry to have that person removed. You could look at Franklin now. Do I think everything that Franklin did was like, so bad that he needed to resign? Like, no, the dude was a comedian. He was a goofball. He's goofing off, and doing his things. Should he tank his political career for that? Fuck no. Especially something that happened 10 years ago. No, he should not. That's how I feel. And now I'm going to see how this goes. I'm going to definitely keep an eye on that, because if I bet there's going to be more cries or outcries for due process and examining and investigating allegations before we go to the public lynch mobs than it was a male. So
oh yeah, I mean, males are going to be persecuted much more differently than females in that regard.
So a thing that we gotta keep in mind is that nobody exists in a vacuum. So when we talk about the Me Too movement, these accusations that are coming up and are being thrown around, we gotta understand about the ripple effects and what's happening. And one of the effects we're having right now is that one of Rose McGowan's former managers, she took her own life because she was caught up in this whole movement or these accusations and battle between Rose McGowan and Harvey Weinstein. And this is a woman who, she was there. She had nothing to do with the incident or anything like that. But because she's been pulled into this incident and the pressure and the media fervor that was going on with it, was too much for her, coupled with her own issues she was struggling with, she decided to end her own life. So I said, this is a cautionary tale that we need to understand that when these movements are going, you don't push too hard too fast, because what's going to happen is, you're going to have innocent people in the wake. And for a movement that prides itself to be about women and empowering women to move forward, it caused a woman to kill herself.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you can't really. I feel like with this Me Too movement, there are no winners. There's no winners. Like in reality, there's no winners.
It's
The
there could be winners. There could be winners, and when I say that is because it will give more. It's gonna. It should. This is what should come out of the Me Too movement is that we should be able to have honest, frank discussions between men and women about how we interact. Okay, where we can definitely delineate between sexual harassment, flirtation, stuff like that, and dealing with our sexual relationships, but we're not getting that, and we have to be careful. So we can have a winner. We can out more people who are predatory and taking advantage and actually hurting people. But in all that too, we should also strive for a better understanding about how the both, notice I said both, not 52, both genders relate to each other. Yeah, because I don't believe in that bullshit. Both genders relate to each other. In our daily relationships and also going into those sexual and intimate relationships, we should have conversations about consent. We should have conversations about sexual harassment and inappropriate sexual misconduct. Those are the things we do want to eliminate from this world, but it should not be in the cost of that we have a pushback. The women understand. Y'all need to understand. You have to respect men. If you want us to respect you, you have to respect us, and you have to understand us. Because there's always been this pushback. Men have to understand women. Bitch, we're out there fucking working. We're out there doing a lot of shit. You also have to understand us. And unless we can sit down and have conversation where it's not, where we can try to come to an understanding with each other and how we deal with each other, we're not gonna. It's just gonna make things worse. So the only way to get the win out of the Me Too movement is if it leads to a conversation about frank and honest conversation about how men and women interact. Honestly, and women gotta understand. Don't play these fucking mind games. Don't play these fucking shit, and understand that men want pussy, women want dick, or another pussy, or whatever. People want sexual interaction, and in order to get that, we just got to be able to talk to each other. We got to communicate.
I mean, I feel like that should be the goal, but I feel like it is that's like very far in the making kind of thing. You have this kind of a culture and climate right now to where men and women are all afraid to interact with each other because of accusations, and people that have nothing to do with these incidents are getting caught in the crossfire. And like we've seen with this, with Jill Messick, she committed suicide, which is horrible. Like that is an abhorrent thing. She had a family, she had friends.
Yeah, and she's gone.
And this put her to the point that she took her own life, and there's really obviously there's no way to get that back. True. There's no way to get that back.
See, this is starting to be a downer.
It is. I mean, well, you have to have a downer to enjoy the ups,
Well, let's go to the ups.
Let's go to the ups. Okay.
So for the ups, we're going to get to, I'm going to end this podcast on a high note. Did you get a chance to see the Venom trailer?
I have, yeah. We definitely made time to watch it before we started recording. Yeah. Because I'm like way behind the times, and I have to watch it.
You need to catch up because other than my two big movies I'm wanting to see this year is of course Black Panther and Avengers: Infinity War. But outside that is Venom. So the thing with Venom is Venom has been a fan favorite for a long time. And like a lot of people don't realize how old that character is. Like the thing about Venom is what he came out in the mid 80s. Or no, late 80s. So he's definitely about he's over 30 years old. And he's had a big impact on the Marvel universe. And the problem was Spider-Man 3 did a disservice for him. You know,
Well, who played the character? Wasn't it like
That-
Topher Grace?
Topher Grace
from that '70s show.
Yeah, and there's like
I don't like just the. He's not the imposing figure that he should have been in that regard.
And they one of the reasons why I'm happy that Tom Hardy is playing him is that he is a imposing. Have you ever seen that dude?
Yeah, he's jacked.
He's jacked, and it's like he's not blonde like Eddie Brock, but you can see the one of the things about the Venom symbiote and what Eddie Brock is that it amplifies your characteristics. So the thing with Venom, or at least it used to be, they always change things, stats in the comics, is that if how strong you are, the symbiote amplify that even more. So like for instance, when if Eddie Brock went to go work out and he got buff and he got stronger, Venom got stronger. Sort of like that. It was a symbiotic relationship.
It was a symbiote. Oh, wow.
So I was really, really like that trailer, and it showed the two. So a lot of the Marvel universe, and going around here, the cinematic universe, and even though I know this is made by Sony and not by Disney, they do take a lot of elements from the Ultimate Universe. And I did notice that some of that in the trailer, but I also noticed that a lot of connection to Venom's first solo series, which was called Lethal Protector, when he was in San Francisco, and the movie takes place in San Francisco. So it looks like they are keeping with the alien origins of the symbiote, because it shows that they're it looks like what it is a ship crashed on Earth, and they get the symbiote. But I don't know if you noticed it. Did you notice that there was more than one symbiote?
No, I didn't get that. Where'd you see that part at?
When he's when he's opening up the door and is panning over the canisters where the symbiote was, there's one before it.
Carnage.
It could
be
it's
Carnage.
I hope it's Carnage.
Oh man!
But see, that kind of changes things because Carnage is actually a spawn of Venom.
Mm-hmm.
But so if you go through the Lethal Protector. One of the things that came out of that series was actually more symbiotes. Do I say that weird?
Symbiotes. Syllables.
No. It's like Cool Whip. Cool Whip.
Cool Whip. Why are you pronouncing the H?
So there was 5 symbiotes that came out of that. So I don't know if they go with a Carnage route. That's great because Carnage.
But then that makes me wonder, like, who would play Carnage? Because in the comics, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure you will, wasn't the person who played Carnage, like, wasn't they like I don't know the name. Wasn't it already like
Cletus Cassidy? He was a serial killer.
Yeah, so he was already fucked up. He was already like wanting to kill people.
Mark Bagley is responsible for bringing Carnage into the fray, and I remember as a kid, like how he introduced Carnage, like how you saw Carnage as a huge threat is that Carnage killed everybody. And his introduction was that he actually, Cletus Cassidy, once he got the symbiote, he actually went into a family's house. And, this is reported in the comics, or like, all these people were killed. And you're like, yeah, mom, dad, kids, and a baby. And they're like, yeah.
Shit.
Cletus Cassidy kills everybody.
Not just the men. Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Hide your baby too, because Carnage is killing everyone. So if they do, the thing about Carnage is he's actually psychotic. He wants to, hence the name. He wants to kill people.
Yeah. So also in the comics, Venom and Spider-Man also had to, and I'm phrasing this as a question, they had to essentially create an alliance to defeat Carnage, right?
Yes.
So like he's that badass that like the enemy of my enemy
is my
friend. Yeah.
So the thing about Carnage, and so you can't really divorce if they take more of the Ultimate line, Ultimate material for this movie. Venom was created on Earth. There's no alien origins to the symbiote, and he was actually created as a way to cure cancer, right? And it looks like they're going with the cancer route in the movie. So in the Ultimate comics, Venom was the symbiote. The idea was that if you have this organism, you would bond it with the human, and the organism would go and kill the cancer cells and stuff like that. But it grew and then eventually tried to take over the host organism, and thus Venom was born. Um, and it looks like they're going to take that part. So there's no connection with Spider-Man in that sense. But the thing that makes Venom cool is the connection with Spider-Man. Because of the bonding that he had with Spider-Man, Venom has several advantages over Spider-Man. Like one, he doesn't like Spider-Man's spider sense warns him of danger, right?
But not Venom.
Right, Venom or Carnage.
Yeah.
Venom or Carnage, they do not set off his spider sense, so they have that. And they're strong. They're stronger than Spider-Man. Venom is stronger than Spider-Man. And Venom's webbing. And I don't know if they're gonna do. I don't know. So if they do Ultimates, they're gonna do the tendrils because Ultimate Venom he didn't have like the webbing, because the webbing was used to mimic. Spider-Man used that to mimic his webbing when he had the suit. And then that carried over the Venom in the Ultimate line. The Ultimate Venom, Venom used like black tendrils from his, of the symbiote.
Mm-hmm.
But if they go the webbing route, so the difference between the webbing with that is that whereas Peter Parker did not produce webbing, I know they've changed this back and forth in Marvel, but originally Peter Parker had to have web fluid and all that. Venom never runs out of webbing. It's it's constantly part of his webbing is literally part of his suit of the symbiote, and it's constantly regenerating. So he has essentially a never ending supply of webbing. And
well, in the early Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, it was organic.
Yeah,
and then now in the new Homecoming, it was back to chemistry.
The chemistry, and the reason, because at the time when the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans were being done, is that they were going to this more organic type Spider-Man. So he had this because he was like, oh, you're the totem of a spider god, or like it was this crazy thing. It was called the Others, where other people were like spider totems before. So like Spider-Man developed organic webbing. He developed Venom.
Was that where he started, like, actually turning into a spider?
No, actually, that's happened several times through the comics.
Okay.
But in the Others, they did explore that. His DNA being changed where it could be more arachnid-like.
Mm-hmm.
But that was again, that was one of the things. Like he developed a stinger that had venom, so he could paralyze people and stuff like that. And a lot of people were like, "Yeah, no," they didn't really buy that, so they sort of pulled back from that. Because the whole part of the spider webbing and the web fluid and all that was to show the genius of Peter Parker, to show that hey, he's a really smart kid, and he developed all this stuff to go with the spider persona. Now, if you make everything organic, that takes away it takes away that idea that he's supposed to be really smart.
Mm-hmm. He's more of a victim of circumstance at that point.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So let's get back on to Venom though, because first. I think we already hit on this. The Tom Hardy as being playing Venom. I think it's a fantastic casting.
Good choice.
I think it's
Good
I can't wait to see it. Do you think that Venom will make its way into the MCU, much like Spider-Man has?
So yes, I actually really, really do, because even though Sony is and others are going to try to keep a lot of these licenses, they know how to make money, and money is with the mouse right now. The House of Mouse is ruling everything. You got Star Wars, you got Marvel. Marvel just bought all the properties back from Fox, so you're gonna get the X-Men movies. The mouse knows how to make money, and I think they're doing this movie. Honestly, I think they're doing this movie so they can keep rights. They can keep control of rights, and then that way, rights to the character. So that way they can go into negotiation with Disney and get some of that profit. So it's like, hey, we're gonna allow you to have Venom for your next Spider-Man movie.
But we've already seen that it does X amount of dollars. So he's this popular, and we're going to demand this much money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I think that's going to happen with that. But I think it's going to happen. So I really, really hope this movie does well because Venom is up there with like Punisher with fan favorites because he's an anti-hero, you know what I'm saying? Like he's not
Yeah, yeah.
Venom's not really a villain per se. Like Eddie Brock never had he didn't want to take over the world. He didn't want to, he didn't do all these things. He just hated Spider-Man for ruining his life.
Right. And then he went on a crusade.
Yeah, but like, so if they go through the Venom Lethal Protector was Eddie Brock moving to San Francisco and basically setting up as a way, basically being the hero there. The difference between him and Spider-Man was that he would kill people.
Yep.
If you were dangerous, he'd eliminate you. Much like the Punisher. The Punisher doesn't have a rogues gallery per se because he will kill you.
Because everyone's dead.
Yeah,
That's why.
very. Think
it's
about
called
it.
a cemetery. That's his.
Yeah, think about Punisher's enemies. He doesn't have many of them. You can name a list of Spider-Man, Captain America, Deadpool, but
Well, they've literally
Daredevil.
done a comic series where Deadpool kills everybody.
Oh yeah,
Everybody.
Deadpool kills the Marvel
Yeah.
universe.
But
Yeah.
so I've talked about Venom being a anti-hero. I speaking of anti-heroes, my favorite anti-hero currently is Riddick, right?
Really?
Yeah. Well, because he wasn't a he was the main protagonist, much like Venom is, but then also he was only out for himself. Like in Pitch Black with Riddick, he was only out for himself. He wasn't really out to kill anybody unless they did him wrong. But he wasn't the stoic hero out to save the world type thing, which I think is like that dynamic and that kind of character development really it really I don't want to say resonates, but it really creates more of an organic feel.
Yeah.
Like this isn't just the character that's propped up on these false morals or whatever, and he feels like he has to do this because he thinks it's right. It's like, no, this is a guy who's been through like real hardship and has become like hugely pessimistic, and now he just doesn't give a shit about things, and he's just trying to live his life. And then he gets hit, like in the trailer, what we talked about just a minute ago, is he thinks that like Venom thinks that Eric Brock, Eddie Brock. Fuck man, drinking. He's got cancer from what we think about this, and he develops the Venom symbiote, and he's just off to go like survive and like even the scoreboard kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll see. So the thing with Riddick, I mean, I love it. I love Pitch Black, and I loved Riddick. I don't know what the fuck happened with Dark Chronicles.
I actually like that one.
Really?
Yeah. Because I like how it actually had an enemy on that instead of just like in Pitch Black there was just the like the hammerhead aliens.
Yeah, but I love that about it.
I thought that was good as an intro because it allowed all the development on Vin Diesel's side or on Riddick's side because you didn't have to develop a protagonist or an antagonist. Right. I mean, except within the party, which you had.
You had different antagonists of
Yeah.
like with
Yeah.
the bounty hunter and stuff like that. But now, so the second one to me is that because Pitch Black was presented more of like a sci-fi horror,
Yeah.
whereas the second one was more of a sci-fi adventure, I would say, or sci-fi action, and so. That was, I mean, that's not bad because the third one is like that too. Because the third one's not really a horror movie, but it just seemed like they were trying to expand this universe, and it was like, okay, you're starting to put these elements out there that I don't think the people were ready for. Because like you went from sci-fi horror to this sci-fi fantasy, with the necromongers and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, I think that was a big shift for it, but. I think Riddick, the reason why Riddick was more well received is because you went back to, showing Riddick as Riddick, a survivor.
Yeah, he was a badass.
Yeah.
But so in the movies, yeah, like if you just watch the movies, there probably wasn't as much I don't want to say development, but storyline development
Well, I
as
played
far as the
Escape
universe
from
goes.
Bitches Bay.
Yeah, once you start looking at the animated one and the
Dark
game,
Fury.
yeah, I mean those definitely tie into that. But I did like how they actually created an entire almost
Universe.
civilization
Yeah.
that was conquering everybody, and then they tied in his past to that, and then it became almost a revenge flick. But no, I hope that Venom kind of gets that same treatment, right? As an anti-hero, like he's not out to win your fucking hearts, right?
No, he's out to survive.
Exactly, and that's where people like, because it feels more authentic, even though you have a symbiote and from another world.
True. Yeah, but before we get to Venom, though, I'm definitely looking forward. So next week, I got tickets, I got everything. I am ready for Black Panther. Now, I will say this, and this is going to be my little rant about Black Panther, and I post this, and other people's heard this before. And I'm talking. I'm not talking to anyone else. I'm going to talk to my fellow Black people, because some people, amazingly enough, some people think that I'm not Black. Bitches, I'm Black. I'll fuck your ass. Anyway, my fellow Black people, don't ruin this movie. Do not ruin this movie. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because it is not your movie. This is our movie. And what I mean by our movie, I mean that this is a movie because of the Black nerds out there. This is a shout out to all Black nerds. And I'm going to tell you why we got to make this distinction. You shut your face right now. I'm going to go on a rant. I'm going to make this distinction right now, because I'm telling you what, growing up as a Black nerd is a very hard to do in the Black community, okay? I freaking, when it came to comic books and stuff like that, you're always considered lame. People didn't think that they looked down upon that shit. And thankfully, for me, I was always I was always a BBM, a big Black man. So I didn't have to deal with as much, because I'd fuck you ass up. But I saw what my fellow Black nerds went through, and it was terrible, because they were kind of ostracized by the Black community. And the reason why we say this is because the reason why you have Black Panther, the reason why you have these movies, is because you have Black nerds out there that were buying comics, reading comics, and stuff like that, helping to keep this industry going. Because a lot of people don't understand, the comics industry almost went away. Marvel almost tanked in the 90s. All right, and that's one of the reasons why it got backed by Disney today. It was doing bad, but there were people out there supporting it. So when I say this is our movie, this is our movie. Do not fuck this up. Now, I'm not saying you can enjoy this. You can get. I'm happy you get on the bandwagon, but don't sit there and act like y'all were Black Panther fans the whole time. Most of y'all motherfuckers didn't know who T'Challa was until a couple of years ago. Some of y'all motherfuckers thought Wakanda was a real motherfucking place. I had to tell people there was a fucking TV series before this. Y'all didn't even know that, and it was on BET. All right. So y'all need to sit back, enjoy this movie. No, by all means, enjoy this movie, because I think this is going to be off the chain. I care. I want you to dress up nice. If you want to dress up like you're going to Wakanda, I encourage that, because I'm telling you right now, I'm dressing up. All right, I'm showing out. But don't sit there and, the things that's pissing me off about this shit is I'm seeing my fellow Black people are talking about white people. Y'all need to sit back. Dude, we're going to have an all-Black show on a Black Panther. No. Motherfuckers, y'all understand that it was two white men that made this character, that made this happen. It's a white production company that made this happen. I'm not saying that, you should not be proud of your Blackness. By all means, be proud of your Blackness. But don't sit there and ostracize another race for something you did not create. This is a great thing to happen. I'm glad it is here, but don't fucking ruin it for the rest of us. So go out there, get on the bandwagon, all right? Because I'm driving this motherfucking train, but don't fuck this up, because I will find you.
Yeah, I really want to enjoy it. This movie's for me too. It's for me too. I really want to. I waited for something from the MCU, and but no, seriously. I've seen several different posts, on Reddit, on all these other.
Yeah, I've seen those
through
and
my Facebook feed. That's
every
like,
time.
Because it's quite literally, you're taking pride into something that is meant for everybody, which is great. Take pride in it, but don't try to, like you said, don't try to ostracize or essentially almost demonize white people for that, because it's really disingenuous.
Well,
I mean,
so I saw one, and now to be totally honest and to be totally fair, a lot of this so-called quote unquote negative backlash of the Black Panther, a lot of it's a hoax. It's a lot of people going, "Hey, let's see how we can throw fake shit we could throw out there and see what we get people riled up on." But I did have to run into one where this dumb motherfucker had to sit there and go, "Why you always got to have white people? This is supposed to be our movie, and they got white people. They got this old white man in this movie." And I'm like,
Stanley.
"Yeah." And I was like, "Dude, that's Stan Lee." He's like, "I don't care, that white dude." I was like, "Motherfucker, he created the Black Panther."
He created everything.
I was like, everything. I said, this whole thing. I said, that's Stan the Man Lee. He created this. Right? And then another motherfucker was like, "Why did he always got a white mentor? Why is that dude?" Because it has a goddamn, what's his name? Frodo Baggins, not Frodo. Bilbo.
Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman. He's in the movie,
Yeah.
right? He's And I was telling him, I was like, do you even read Black Panther comics? Did you ever read it? I say, because I'm letting you know, the character you're complaining about has been around for over 20 years, and oh, by the way, he was created by a black man. Christopher Priest put him in there. I said, so what are you really complaining about? I said, this is why I say #fake fans. Don't get me wrong. I'm very stoked that people are getting excited about this movie. I'm very stoked that people are, feel emboldened and empowered by this. Because I'm a huge Captain America fan. Everyone knows me, knows that. I'm a fucking huge Captain America fan. I always have been, always will be. I'll hit you in the face with a fucking goddamn shield. Better recognize. But so I'm always on board with people coming into comics and supporting these things. The same things that people used to give me shit about growing up for liking. I'm glad that you guys are finally coming around. Albeit, let's get a roll. But don't sit there and try to act like you knew all about it or you were fans all along, and shit like that. As a lot of people try to press me. They're like, oh, I know this about Black Panther. I was like, nigga, I'll tell you one thing that showed me that people don't read Black Panther. A couple of days ago, Marvel put out the Wakandan family tree, right? And it showed how everybody is related to Black Panther, how you become a Black Panther, because you don't inherit the title. You have to go through trials for it. And there were some that were upset. They're like, why is there a white guy on the tree? And I was like, you mean Hunter? Oh, that's his brother. Dun, dun, dun. Now, anyone who's read Black Panther for a while would know that Hunter was his adopted brother. His father adopted Hunter, and actually ran the Wakandan so-called secret police. Now, when T'Challa took over as the Black Panther, he said, "You guys are too brutal. I don't need you guys anymore because this is not how Wakanda's going to be." And they're like, "Fuck it. We some badass motherfuckers. We're going to go out and make money as mercenaries." I said, so y'all don't even know about T'Challa's adopted brother. Don't come at me with, trying to act like you so woke on Black Panther.
But that's another thing is, you have to realize that this is a movie with where to be honest, race shouldn't be really an issue. Yeah, it talks about Wakanda being an African country, and
it's all
actually
black cast.
Yeah,
I get it.
Which I get it. It makes sense. But don't get mad when you have people in supporting roles that are not black. It just doesn't make sense. It's like it seems really like it's a hugely disingenuous argument because it shows that you don't know what you're talking about as to the comic book origins.
Right, you don't know the lore.
But then also you don't even have that that hashtag equality shit, right? It doesn't swing this way. It's like, no, this is an all black movie. Go fuck yourself.
And it's funny because and this is why I tell people this day and age is so disingenuous with relations. You hear stupid shit like, oh man, people writing articles. Black Panther is going to be the first blockbuster.
That's wrong.
With a black superhero front and center. I was like, motherfucker, you had 3 Blade movies. Oh, you didn't know Blade was a Marvel character that's been around since the 70s?
Oh wait, you had Steel.
You had Steel before that with
Shaq.
Oh, actually, we shouldn't talk about Steel.
He's there.
But what did we have before Steel?
What did we have before Steel?
Oh man, what was that movie with what's that dude's name? Black dude. He played Tyson, and Oh yeah, Spawn.
Oh my God,
People
Michael J. White,
Michael
who's already a
White.
badass anyway.
Yeah,
And
he
that was
was
actually
right.
a pretty good movie
It
too.
was. Spawn was a good movie. A lot of people didn't know that and this is what I'm talking about when I was coming up and all that, and being a black comic nerd, motherfuckers didn't know who Spawn was. They didn't know that Spawn was a black superhero. A lot of people still don't. When I talk about Spawn, people are like, well, we mean Spawn because you see him in a costume, and they're like,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, he's black, but Spawn is.
Like originally, it wasn't like a race swap or anything.
No, he was always black. Spawn has always been a black superhero, and he was very popular, especially in the early '90s. Made by Todd McFarlane, white guy, and you know who else? Wait, you know who else Todd McFarlane created?
Who?
We just talked about him.
Steel?
No, we only really talked about.
I know. Did he? Who did he make?
He made Venom.
Venom. Yeah, that's right. That makes sense now because of the eyes. But I mean, you have, and it kills me the amount of how, and I keep using this word disingenuous because it really shows how equality works in this environment. And
you have equality. I think people don't really understand what an equal or egalitarian society should look like. An egalitarian society should not be an us versus them mentality, and that's exactly what it has been fostered more and more. But that's where we're at right now.
It's like that with race relations, and it's like that with like the hashtag Me Too movement between men and women as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, to be a white male right now, like you're in the double negative. Like you're getting it from like all sides.
Well,
like from women and from other races.
I know. That's why I'm here because I'm here
to stab me. It's okay.
Well, yeah.
Rule number 9.
That's right. That's why I'm here. There's only a finite reason why I tolerate you because you're a cis white male.
Yeah. Because I give you that privilege.
Why is that knife in your hand?
It's always in my hand.
That's why I got my knife.
Oh man.
Oh
yeah.
Now, for the listening public, yes, we do have knives in hands. But to be fair, I'm the reason why he carries a knife because I always carry a knife.
Yes.
And I always threaten to stab people.
Yeah. So I had to get my own so we could sword fight.
Yeah. No,
or knife fight, really.
Yeah,
like in the Michael Jackson Bad movie or video, like. We go out for like dinner, but before we pay the check, like we have the waiter like tie our wrists together, and then we flip out the knives
and see who pays.
Yeah.
No, but
I got a lot of stitches.
They're going back to I'm very, 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 very stoked for this movie. I'm very happy to see it, and I do love, that the fact that this is being made. But I'm like, at the same time, understand Black Panther is for everybody. Every Marvel movie, every Disney movie is for everybody. Remember, and I'm saying this to the people, who are trying to slag off white people or any other race from going to see movies. Because I was also against when they did the Wonder Woman movie, and they're like, we're gonna have a female only. As like female only viewing. Like, bitch, a man created Wonder Woman. I'm like, you didn't make Wonder Woman. A man did it. I was like, so why are you gonna sit there and it's like men cannot come to this viewing? I'm like, I'm the same thing. Yeah, we're gonna have an all black viewing. No, bitch. White people created Black Panther. White people created Wakanda. White people put up the money for this movie. If it wasn't for white people, actually, if you want to say this, if it wasn't for Captain America, we wouldn't have Black Panther.
I mean,
because Captain America: Civil War right now is still the best Marvel movie out there,
and that's where he was introduced.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, will Black Panther take his place? I don't know. I can't wait to see. Because right now, if I rank it, Captain America: Civil War, best Marvel movie.
I mean, it's a really good movie.
But
my whole thing is about that little rant is there's a lot of posts about black people wanting to essentially take over the movie theaters and everything like that. Don't bother white people. We got this. You don't even come to the movie theater. You can get it on DVD or whatever. You kind of get that sense. But I mean, if you want to really look at it, who made the movie? Like
white people.
Well, no, not just white people. Like we're talking like the MCU, Disney, Marvel made the movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you think they care about one demographic seeing the movie? No. They made this to get money. They want everybody to see this movie.
Exactly.
And it's really kind of that's like having a Walmart, right? That you want to serve everybody, but you're having a protest outside. You know, it's just like, wait, you know, these one guys aren't letting the other guys in, and it's you know, we're not going to get that out where we are, but it's just like the hostility about something that literally has zero hostility in it.
So, and I want to go point back. So, for people who don't remember, when Blade came out, Wesley Snipes actually did a special for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he did a special for it, and it was a martial arts centric special, and you know it showcased a lot of martial artists. Now, in this special that he did showcase a lot of black martial artists. Okay, in there because Wesley Snipes is a very big martial artist, and funny, most people don't know the reason he did Blade is because he wanted to actually do a Black Panther movie. He did not get the rights to make Black Panther, but they gave him the rights to Blade, so that's what he made, and boom. That started the actually big upswing for superhero movies as we see them today because of the success of Blade. But in this martial arts special that he didn't just showcase only black martial artists. It was mostly black martial artists, no wrong. But it wasn't only black martial artists because he also recognized that diversity is a thing, right? The martial arts are not strictly a black thing. It's not even strictly an Asian thing anymore. It's not strictly a white thing or something like that. Martial arts has been something where, I could shit. This could be a podcast in itself. Martial arts is this thing right now where everybody is welcome. People from all walks of lives, all races, everyone is practicing martial arts. And when Weston and I did this video or did this special, he invited martial artists from all over, black, white, Asian, and so on. And it sort of helped show that not only did he do Blade, and Blade is a black character and a black vampire hunter and blah, blah, blah. This is something that can be enjoyed by everybody.
It should be. But, I mean, yeah, we're definitely going to do a entire podcast on martial arts.
We're going to do one on martial arts, and we're going to do a Black Panther. Matter of fact, we're going to do a Black Panther.
Yeah, we were planning to do a Black Panther special like we did with the Star Wars review. Right. Yeah, I think we'll probably make that a theme, like with all the new MCUs or any movies that really we want to do. We could definitely do that.
No, we are going to do that.
We are going to do that. I'm sorry. But knife. So
I guess it's a good place to wrap it up.
I guess it is.
So everybody, I appreciate you guys coming out and seeing and listening to us again. If you have comments, by all means, as a matter of fact, no one's commented yet. I'm telling you right now, people, if you comment, I will engage with you. I do love engaging with people. I love defending my points. I love challenging other points. I love, stuff like that. So if you have comments, leave comments below. Give us a like. And we will see you next time. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Dose of Offensive Gentlemen podcast. We want to hear what you got to say, so leave us a comment below and hit that like button. Also, subscribe so you can get your future DOG updates.